Wonderful. Welcome. We are here doing an interview with Judy and George Marshall from Waterloo, Iowa. Part of our Awareness 48, we are doing, trying to bring awareness of the realities of what happens in our own backyard. And specifically with sex trafficking, teen prostitution, those in the sex trade. Right now, it seems like a lot of people view that as a global issue. And even, if anything, a very urban inner city issue. And George and Judy, thanks for being with us. You guys have been in the inner city of Waterloo, Iowa.
Yes.
and have been there for several years, have planted a church kind of right down, in the midst of the dance clubs,
right?
Kind of the darker area. We kind of chuckle when we say the inner city of the ominous Waterloo, Iowa.
That's right.
And so, but I really, after hearing you share a little bit the other day, I really wanted to have an interview because part of what we're doing is trying to bring the reality that isn't just a New York or San Francisco issue, and it's not just even like a city like Minneapolis. It's really, it's in the Midwest.
That's right.
It's in small town and in places like Waterloo. So you guys have been. Tell us a little bit about. You planted a church 7 years ago.
Right.
In Waterloo, Iowa. So what did it look like planting that church? And you were telling me some stories of how you guys came in contact with those in the sex trade and prostitution. And tell me a little bit of how you were introduced to that.
Well, we were put in charge of called Picnic in the Park, where we did a free meal every other Sunday in the city park. And so therefore we're in contact with a lot of people. Salvation Army's close by, Catholic Worker House, a few other shelters, and just low-income neighborhood. And so out of that, the church came from underneath the trees. Gotcha. And so we were exposed to a lot of people for quite a few years until we ended up church planting and doing an outdoor church service. So.
And before you actually were there planning the church, I mean, did you have any awareness as far as what prostitution looked like in your city? You were telling me before just how you'd see people on the corner and you just had no idea why they were there.
Right. It was we were both pretty green and pretty naive to what we were really doing. We felt really good about serving hamburgers and hot dogs every week. That was great. Until one day a girl came running up to me and she had bruises all over her arms and basically said, my boyfriend beat me up and I need a bus ticket to go to, I don't know, it was like Indiana or somewhere. And do you have $45? And I just sat there with my burger going, would you like a hamburger? I mean, what do you do with that? So out of that, we would see people hanging out on the street corners and I just thought, oh, they're having good conversation. You just lost your picture.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Okay.
That'll keep recording.
Sorry.
It's all right.
And so, we were really naive to what people were doing. We just would see the same people around all the time walking the streets. And I just thought, oh, they live downtown, and that was it. Yeah. And it wasn't till once we planted the church and a gal who came out of that lifestyle. She had been in prison 3 different times. She prostituted mostly all of her life. Grew up very roughly, had a couple kids, and then even her own daughters were prostitutes. And she was the one who wisened me up as to, hey, see that person there, this is the pimp.
Happening.
She's doing a trick right now, and see how she went up to that. And she educated me, basically.
Wow. So you guys have the church now, and you were I remember you just this afternoon telling me stories of you guys, your initial ways of even making contact and gaining trust came through serving the dance clubs.
Right.
What did that look like? And was this before you planted the church? Or
basically, it was kind of while we were planting the church that a gal had always had this vision for, it was called 4th Street Ministry. And they would go and had a real heart for the women that were in these clubs. and they didn't know what they were supposed to do with that either. So they would go and lay hands on the buildings and pray over the buildings. And they did that seriously for probably, I don't know how long, like at least a year, if not more, until finally we ended up church planting downtown. And they said, hey, let's bring this inside. Can we use your church and do ministry? So out of that, we decided one night what we needed to do is we needed to get into the strip clubs. And basically, we were going to decorate the girls' rooms. And it sounds a little bit odd, but we knew that these women needed to know that Jesus loved them and that we cared for them. And there would come a day when they would no longer be in those strip clubs anymore because of life circumstances or who knows why. And we wanted them to know that there was a place where they could come and they could heal and they could start over again. So that's basically what we did.
And tell us a little bit. So you would go in and decorate the dressing rooms?
Yes. Yeah.
And just put like small little like coupons to get hairdress.
Right. One of the girls was a hairdresser, and she gave free coupons to get their hair done, their cut, and then we had like little brochures, kind of like Jesus tracts more or less, but actually things to advertise our churches. Yeah. And there were 3 churches that came together, 3 vineyard churches that basically came together, and it was on Valentine's Day we did it, and also on Easter. And we would just decorate them up. And what was crazy is that they actually let us come into the bar and do it. I think that surprised me the more. I think you have to just be gutsy and say, hey, can we come in and decorate the girls' rooms? And why we were, it had to be God to let us in there. So,
and I'm sure those club owners too. Some of you might have reminded them of their own moms, and so they couldn't say no to mom. But no, that and then one time you weren't planning this, but the girls started showing up, and you had some interaction.
Right, we had some great interaction with the girls, and as they were kind of getting themselves ready for the night, which meant they were disclothing or unclothing, but we found out they were moms. They had kids. They had, they had issues. It was just like a common conversation that you would have maybe going to a kindergarten class and meeting a mom at PTA for the first time, it was really amazingly surprising. And these girls just doing what they're doing to make money. Yeah. And,
it kind of... we always talk about trying to humanize the statistics, and I'm sure that experience for you guys able you to
right. And little did we know that God was going to end up planting us right next door to a strip club. Wow. That was actually our 3rd location. We started under the trees, then we ended up right on East 4th Street, which was kind of like right downtown. Great place, close to the cigar store and a dirty bookstore or video club, was 2 doors down from us, and then from there he brought us over to this new location, which was right next to one of the strip clubs that we were decorating.
And I remember you saying that some people have come to you and said, "Great, now you're there and you can shut them down." And what is your response to that?
Yeah. Instead, we said, no, that is not our job, is to come and shut them down. We wanted them to know that when they were tired of that life, they had a place to come. Right. And we weren't their enemies. Instead, we knew that, God was with us and God loves them. God loves the girls. God loves those shop owners. And they just had to know. And the interesting thing, the year and a half that we were in that building, if ever a car sat in that parking lot overnight, it would get damaged or broke into. Or and it was so funny. Anytime our cars were left overnight, no one touched our vehicles.
Wow.
It was amazing, because anybody else, if it was somebody from the strip club, theirs got busted in. And anytime one of our people might have left their car overnight, nothing ever happened to it. So
wow, we're gonna do part 2. So if you're watching this, we're gonna talk a little bit more about transitional homes and what it looks like for people to get out. So click over to the part 2.